Tom Bower Revenge Chapter 25.1 Working with Scobie. Hello, welcome to my reading from Tom Bower's book Revenge. Mr. Bower heads this chapter suicide. But as you know, I break it down into sub-chapters for ease of digestion. I will continue reading and providing you with my commentary about the ever-present narcissism. Harry's wife spotted an opportunity after Michelle Obama arrived in London to promote her best-selling autobiography, Character Trait Acquisition. Having secured tickets to hear the former First Lady make her inspirational speech in the Royal Festival Hall. On 3 December 2018, she went backstage afterwards to meet her hero. Now narcissists can look up to other people, the reason being there is that desire to be like them, and it's driven by their narcissism. Some narcissists don't look up to other people, contemptuous of anybody else, seeing no reason, seeing nobody is better than them. But other narcissists, typically mid-range, do look up to people driven by their narcissism to emulate those individuals by way of character trait acquisition, determined to fashion on a special relationship. Harry's wife had also arranged that they would meet again for dinner at George Clooney's house near Windsor, Michelle Obama being hoovered here as an idol to be emulated. Michelle Obama was also a good source of advice and consolation for Harry's wife, not so much these days after the Obama birthday bam, and of course both Obama and Michelle are fairly good judges of characters and therefore saw this grifter for what she was and thought get away from her pretty quickly. But let's find out what went on at the time. However, the Duchess appears not to have appreciated how much the Obamas admired the Queen. Harry's wife's attitude alarmed Michelle. Her advice to Harry's wife was delivered in public. Take some time. Obama said in an interview, and don't be in a hurry to do anything in a warning vote. She added, like me, Harry's wife probably never dreamt she'd have a life like this. No deal. The pressure you feel can sometimes feel like a lot. Harry's wife, Obama suggested, should be reasonable. Fat chance of that. What I'd say is that there's so much opportunity to do good with a platform like that, and I think Harry's wife can maximize her impact for others as well as her own happiness. If she's doing something that resonates with her personally. Within Kensington Palace, Harry's wife was still struggling to settle in purposefully. She had isolated herself from many former friends, basically leaving them on the shelf, including Gina, Torres and other Suits actors. One exception was John Fitzpatrick. I was amazed to see the difference in Harry's wife. He recalled after a visit to the palace, white-gloved footmen stood with the hotelier while he waited for her arrival. Harry's wife came in and her greeting was very formal. Once the staff left, Fitzpatrick asked, "How long have we got?" looking at her watch. Harry's wife replied, "We've got exactly 29 minutes. According to Fitzpatrick, she relaxed and the gossip began at the end of the allotted time. The staff returned and Harry's wife's formal look came on again. American girlfriends visiting Harry's wife in Kensington Palace found a troubled woman cooped up in Nottingham Cottage. She complained, pity play, that there were no staff to prepare meals. "But I thought you were able to roast a chicken and you're a fucking foodie that you were there like Gordon Ramsay creating culinary masterpieces. Well, all you eat is hard cheese and sour grapes, can't be that difficult." No one treated her as royal. That's because she doesn't act like a royal looking miserable. She mentioned being the most trolled person in the world, grandiosity, even though it might well be accurate. Although I think actually there was a survey done and she came second, didn't she? Anyway, people in the media were telling lies about her. They will be perceived as lies by her through her narcissistic lens. It was so damaging to her mental and emotional health. One friend concluded, actually, it's not she portrays it as that way to engender sympathy from people, but in actual fact, being talked about is simply fuel to her. However, where she's criticized, that's a repeated threat to control, and that makes her feel weak and vulnerable. One cause of the difficulties was her reluctance to take on traditional royal duties she had undertaken. Of course, a ribbon-cutting course, but kept fucking that up as she kept taking the scissors and attempting to stab Kate with them and point out that's just one of my sides, not what Mr. Bower wrote. Returning to the publication by early December 2018, Harry's wife had completed only 8 royal engagements since the summer. Laziness, lack of accountability, sense of entitlement that including Trooping the Colour and the Remembrance Day service damaging stories appeared in the newspapers. The Sun offered the revelation that Harry's wife had been very excited at her Jamaican wedding, that each guest had received a gift bag with 5 splits of cannabis. That evening, she made a surprise appearance at the British Fashion Awards at the Royal Albert Hall wearing an off-the-shoulder black Givenchy gown with matching black painted fingernails going off. Harry's wife told her audience, "It is such an honor to be here celebrating British fashion and British fashion designers in my new home of the UK." Some wondered why Harry's wife could not for once have compromised and worn a British design dress soon after the event. Harry's wife's photo on the British Fashion Council's Instagram site was deleted, wounding on the same evening. Princess Anne visited the International Maritime Organization Safety Committee and the Queen celebrated the 600th anniversary of the Bar Association. Contrast those 3 women to turning up for events which probably aren't that exciting to them, but they do it with their keen sense of duty and service. Harry's wife turns up at something that's glam because it makes her look glam. Character trait acquisition. Returning to the publication, the revelation sparked Harry's wife's customary outrage about the media and Canada's failure to suppress the embarrassment. In the midst of that argument, Thomas Markle gave another interview. "The treatment of me is harsh, hurtful and unforgiving." He said, "I'm being punished for things I didn't say," in direct assertion of control. Harry's wife's letter had failed to stop him speaking, fueling the flames. He also published a letter he had sent to Doria 5 days after the Duchess's speech in Fiji. Harry's wife, he wrote, is saying she wants nothing to do with me and she worked her way through college all by herself. She cannot change history. Oh yes, she can. I'm sick of the lies. I'm sick of being vilified and shut out of their lives. I always upheld my responsibilities as a father. Harry's wife's comments about paying her way through college are offensive to me, in direct assertion of control over Harry's wife through Doria. Upset that his provocation had not encouraged his daughter to call him Thomas. Markle appealed days later on television for Harry's wife to put aside their differences in time for Christmas again. Lack of accountability, sense of entitlement, in direct assertion of control. "I love my daughter very much and I would really appreciate it if she would call me Thomas's outburst tipped the balance for the Sussexes." Harry's wife and Harry were exasperated. They agreed to cooperate with Omid Scobie, as would later state the book was discussed with the Duchess multiple times in person and over email, despite her of course saying that she had no involvement in it. Her only irritation was Scobie's tweet describing Jessica Mulroney as Harry's wife's stylist, even though of course something that she said when she wanted her to fly to Australia. Another lie, Harry's wife told how personally frustrating I find the stylist narrative, as it's the only thing I seem to have any control over, my personal styling. Well, yes, because that's why you often look like a dog's dinner, but there we are. But given we are being asked to cooperate with his evidently authoritative biography, I will not be comfortable doing so if this person is to be considered an authority. Haughtiness, assertion of control. Harry's wife was reassured that Scobie would be told the truth. The plastic lieutenant do as he's told, otherwise he'd get a red-hot poker shoved up his yetter, in an email to Harry's wife, and Harry opened himself up to subterfuge. Being able to say hand on heart that we did not facilitate access will be important. Decision to trust Scobie was against his instinct. I would say so, and antagonism towards the tabloids inconsistently. With one breath, he criticized Vanity Fair as tabloid, and on the other, he trusted Scobie, who recycled tabloid stories, even those which were patently inaccurate, while planning a 2-hour briefing for Scobie. And Durand was encouraged by Harry to be especially helpful. After 2 years of media onslaught, cyberbullying, puppeteering, Thomas, Markle, etc., etc., Harry asked to cast Harry's wife in a positive light. Early on the 10th of December sent Harry's wife a list of questions that Scobie has submitted for their meeting 2 days later. Once again reiterated the need for deniability. I think it is important. He wrote to the Prince of Pink Pancakes that we could say hand on heart. They skate, being Durant had no access to Harry's wife's friends and the palace. Although advised against helping Scobie to meet Harry's wife's friends, he added, I am happy to facilitate either way. Despite this, Harry agree with, I totally agree that we have to be able to say we didn't have anything to do with it. Referring to the book for Harry to encourage was noteworthy. So was Harry encouraging North cooperation equally. You giving the right context and background to them would help get some truths out there. The truth is very much needed and would be appreciated, especially around the Markle wedding stuff. While he and Harry's wife criticized Thomas Markle for speaking to the media, they were doing precisely the same. But of course their hypocrisy has been seen by the fact that they want to campaign to close down disinformation on the internet. Yet they engage in repeatedly doing that, putting out the lies, the puff pieces and so on and so forth. Rank hypocrisy. This section ends. Let us move on to the next one. Ends. Let us move on to the next one.